Good evening, numerology enthusiasts. Carlos here with yet another video on numerology. In this case, it is on 3 and Gemini. I am a firm believer in hope and gratitude. Hopefully, my moon in Leo exuberance grants you perseverance to continue watching these videos. Otherwise, I apologize in advance. Thank you for watching this video and hearing about Gemini, which is heard through the hearing aid of numerology. And now that you are sick of hearing that word, numerology, so many times, let us get on with it. As you may recall from the other videos, SU is short for Soul's Urge. In this case, Gemini has an SU of 23, which reduces to 5. And yes, I continue to hope that my riddles encourage you to make the leap of faith by grabbing the fish all these hints present. 5 is the house which Leo rules. Gemini longs for emotional freedom. This, in an awkward way, makes sense. Gemini, despite being a mental sign, believes the words pay tribute to ideas. Spirits resonate with ideas, and they're charged by emotion. And yes, he seeks the emotional freedom to fully express himself. Yet this reminder is about how each spirit has a soul. Their soul longs for whatever the number symbolizes. In the case of 3 and Gemini, they differ only slightly. They both long for wisdom. Soul's Urge, Gemini. Gemini's glyph is a Roman numeral 2. There are 2 horizontal lines and 2 vertical lines. The top horizontal line represents how intelligence is bound by wisdom. For a great public example of this, look at Trump's behavior. If he had lived up to his name in the office of the presidency, then he would not be quite so entitled. He would know how to make the most of his country as he sought to converse us as a nation. Instead, he was overly arrogant, and yet somehow many people were okay with his arrogance, because even I thought he would get the job done because he knows how to run things. This is how wisdom can either uplift or stifle Gemini's out-of-the-box thoughts. The same is true in Carlos's case. This video's success depends on your willingness to watch it and encourage others to watch it as well. Otherwise, I may as well shoot rubber bullets into a very well-padded room. More relevantly is the 5 for Gemini's SU. 5, which will be covered more in depth in the 5th chapter, symbolizes emotional freedom. It is the most dramatic number on the emotional plane, which is already quite dramatic. Gemini does long to be dramatic in his communications. This way he can partially satisfy the 3 requirements for effective speaking: logos, ethos, and pathos. This is a fancy way of saying reaching your audience's logic, emotions, and ethics are crucial when speaking effectively. By learning how to pay tribute to the spirit, one does a better job of reaching others' emotions. SU 3. 3 is a first number on the mental plane. He shares, and he means strong through action or being extroverted, shares a house with Gemini. 3 is the master mental weaver. He forms impressions of tasks and people. Then he weaves those impressions so the right person satisfies the right job. This, in the form of a soul's urge, means your character longs to manage others, and he feels alive when he effectively does this. He wants to pick the right person for the sake of the whole group. When he is effective, the group is effective and becomes more productive. Given this, 3 is witty, has leadership potential, and learns how to be financially wealthy. When you choose to have your character possess 3 for his or her SU, then you have chosen what the character longs for. Yet even a powerful 3 is at the mercy of your character's OE, outer expression, and FN, full name. Given this, you ought to buy Gemini's numerology. Then check out the chapter on internal compatibility for each character. This will provide some hints as to how he or she behaves when her longings are not met. Furthermore, they long to be witty. This includes feeling heard. Plus, 3, much like Gemini, veers towards being proactive, yet his preference is to contemplate first and do second. Lastly and frequently, most importantly, he longs to find the right job for the right person. This feat is why he represents the gateway from the memory to your character's mind. It would be interesting to find out if Myers, Briggs, or both has a 3 in their respective numerology charts. One of the big advantages of the MBTI, Myers-Briggs Temperament Indicator, is finding the right person for each job. This suggests a 3 is a strong possibility given the chapter's 3's contents so far. SU Scorpio. Scorpio is an example of a name with SU3. Scorpio is both intellectual and emotional. The emotional aspect means she forms impressions swiftly. It is impressions that 3 deals with deftly. This allows her to mix and match people and jobs. Plus, she is quite witty. Scorpio and 3 have much in common. 3 as a full name number is somewhat more intense than as an SU. However, you ought to reconsider this if both your SU and OE is 3. It is probably best to think of these techniques as filters. 3 has not changed. Only our perception of him does. He is still a mental, witty, managerial, financially savvy weaver. Yet as a FN, he is granted 15 votes to SU's and OE's 10. For example, Gemini's FN is 3. Unlike Scorpio, whose mental weaving prowess heavily involves her emotions, Gemini does this on an intellectual and word-based manner. He heavily believes words pay homage to ideas. It is the ideas that leave impressions on Gemini. This allows him to resonate with 3. Strengths. Mentioned earlier, 3 has several strengths. First, he is witty and managerial. Second, he plies his trade for financial prosperity. And thirdly, he is mentally wise. He forms impressions of others and finds the right job for them to perform. In the off chance I fail to grant enough hints, my RN is 3, which is slightly more intense than the FN. Weaknesses. He also has 3 weaknesses to transform into strengths. For more information on how to do this, please click on the link to buy the book, Gemini's Numerology. The first weakness is it causes the most pain. He can be very critical of others. Unless his spouse has a mental number to defend him or her, it may cause their early death. Plus, most people do not enjoy being criticized. It causes them to avoid the critical person. In this case, he becomes a loner, thanks to no one being his friend. Therefore, this weakness results in him lacking friends and perhaps causing the death of his spouse. He is a mental number. Yes, this is the second one, which means he is not a physical number. Physical numbers may lack mental activity to plan or dream. However, what they do plan or dream about, they put into motion. Whereas 3 is good about planning. His weakness is not putting the plan into motion. For example, suppose your character has a lawnmower and a lawn. He may frequently dream about how much he loves the smell of freshly cut grass. Yet his lawn is 3 inches tall when he cuts it. This comes across as either being lazy or daydreaming. Therefore, he is a daydreamer. Thirdly, he can be a soloist, both by design and out of necessity, thanks to number 1. He may overcompensate for the first weakness, which is being too critical of others, by separating himself from the group. If your character does this from a young age, then in adulthood he is antisocial. This makes it hard for him to break free from his shell and be social. And lastly, even though I'm using the term he, feel free to choose whichever gender as you see fit for your character. Now, the potential occupations for FN3 have to do with being intellectual. These jobs are manager, entrepreneur, which is a glorified manager, finances, research, computer science, and sciences. We are also adept at writing, hopefully. And in my case, I have earned a degree in computer science. Just as 3 is able to match people with jobs, a programmer matches functions with jobs. It is not much of an intellectual leap to realize this. Hence 3's ability to do well in the sciences. Lastly, and certainly not leastly, is how the audience and other characters perceive your character. All this is encapsulated by two words: outer expression. Taurus, Leo, and Pisces have three for their respective outer expressions. Pisces is a mutable sign. Mutable signs are somewhat renowned for taking mental explorations. It is this that resonates with three, whereas this author leaves it up to you if you agree that Taurus and Leo resonate with three or not. If so, you owe it to yourself to explore why you believe this to be true. When you do that exploration, you can use your notes as inspiration for a character that is also described by them. Given all this, you owe it to the character, too. Outer expression Pisces. Pisces OE is 3. While she is not nearly as witty as Gemini, she is quite witty. Her sense of humor usually involves exaggeration to the point of being ridiculous. Plus, she can be somewhat self-deprecating as well, by making fun of herself to get people to laugh. Plus, instead of forming mental impressions of jobs and people, she forms them based on her emotions. This is a skill she wields with deadly force. In some ways, Pisces resonates the heaviest with 3. Carlos would know too. He has a great friend whose sun is in Pisces. Once again, thank you for watching this video. And if you enjoyed it, please leave your comments and say what parts struck a chord with you. Or better yet, post a link to your own book that was inspired partially by this video.